Dr. Thomas Stanley spent 30 years studying over 11,000 millionaires for his research. He discovered something that breaks every assumption about wealth. The person driving the BMW with the Rolex? 92% chance they're broke. The person driving the Toyota with the Casio? 47% chance they're a millionaire. Wealth doesn't look like what Instagram taught you it looks like, and the behaviors that create it are invisible to people who don't know what to look for. Today, you're discovering 7 principles that millionaires follow religiously but never talk about. Not because they're secrets, because they're boring, they don't photograph well, they don't impress anyone, but they work. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why most people stay broke while doing everything that looks successful. Welcome to the Wealth Mind, where we decode the psychology behind prosperity. These 7 principles aren't tips, they're not hacks. They're behavioral patterns that separate people who build lasting wealth from people who look wealthy but live paycheck to paycheck. Dr. Stanley's research revealed that 86% of luxury car drivers don't have a net worth over $1 million. Meanwhile, 61% of actual millionaires drive cars worth less than their annual income. The behaviors that protect wealth are the opposite of what society celebrates. And understanding this gap, that's where real financial freedom begins. Principle number 1, millionaires replace, broke people accumulate. Here's the pattern. Dr. Sarah Stanley Fallon discovered when she continued her father's millionaire research, the average millionaire household owns approximately 62% fewer total items than the average American household, despite having 7 times the net worth. This isn't minimalism for aesthetics. It's a wealth protection behavior. When millionaires need something, they replace the old version. They don't add to the collection, their closet doesn't expand, their garage doesn't fill, their storage units don't exist. Broke people do the opposite. New phone? Keep the old one just in case. New jacket? The old one still works sometimes. New kitchen gadget? Join the other 4 that do similar things. Every item you own has a carrying cost, physical space, mental attention, maintenance time, insurance, the opportunity cost of the money you spent. Research from UCLA showed that families with more possessions have measurably higher cortisol levels. Your stuff is literally stressing you out and costing you money. Meet Rachel and Tom, both 41, both earning $130,000 annually as corporate managers. Rachel's home, 3 bedrooms, but one has become a storage room for things she might use someday. 2-car garage filled with boxes. Pays $190 monthly for a storage unit. Total possessions? She estimates over 5,000 individual items. Tom's home, 3 bedrooms, all functional living space. 2-car garage with 2 cars and organized essentials. No storage unit. Total possessions, under 800 items. Same income, completely different wealth trajectories. Rachel spends approximately 12 hours monthly managing, organizing, and maintaining her possessions. She pays $2,280 annually just to store things she rarely uses. That's money hemorrhaging from her wealth-building capacity. Tom operates on replacement philosophy. When something wears out or breaks, he replaces it. But he never just adds. New winter coat? Old winter coat gets donated. New blender? Old blender goes to someone who needs it. After 15 years of these different patterns, Rachel has a net worth of $84,000. Tom has $1,200,000. Same income. The difference? Every dollar Rachel spent accumulating, Tom spent investing. Every hour Rachel spent managing stuff, Tom spent building skills that increased his earning power. Replacement philosophy isn't about deprivation. It's about protecting wealth from the silent drain of accumulation. Principle number 2, millionaires buy quality once. Broke people buy cheap repeatedly. This sounds obvious until you see the actual behavior. Broke people think they're being smart by buying the $40 shoes instead of the $200 shoes. Here's what actually happens. $40 shoes last 4 months. $200 shoes last 5 years. Over 5 years, the broke person spends $600 replacing cheap shoes. The millionaire spent $200 once and moved on with life. But it's deeper than just math. It's about decision energy. Behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman discovered that humans can make about 70 high-quality decisions per day before our decision-making capacity degrades. Every purchase decision you make depletes this capacity. The person buying cheap and replacing constantly, they're making the same purchase decision over and over. Shoes in January, shoes again in May, shoes again in September. The person buying quality once, they made that decision 3 years ago and haven't thought about shoes since. MIT behavioral economists studied this pattern across multiple product categories. They found that people who buy the cheapest option spend on average 173% more over a 10-year period compared to people who buy quality mid-range items. 173% more. Not because the quality items cost more, because the cheap items need constant replacement. But here's the psychological trap. Cheap purchases feel responsible in the moment. You're being careful with money. You're not splurging. Quality purchases, Feel irresponsible in the moment? You're spending more than you need to? You're being excessive? Your brain tricks you into the behavior that costs more long-term because it feels better short-term. Marcus, 36, electrician, makes $72,000 annually. For years, Marcus bought cheap tools. Why spend $300 on professional grade when you can get it for $60? He thought he was being smart. After 5 years, he spent over $4,000 replacing broken cheap tools. His work quality suffered because tools would fail mid-job. His reputation took hits because he'd have to reschedule when equipment broke. Then a millionaire contractor told him something that changed everything. Your tools are your business partners. Cheap partners cost you money. Quality partners make you money. Marcus saved for 3 months and bought professional grade tools. $2,000 invested. 10 years later, those same tools are still working. He's replaced nothing. His work quality improved. His reputation grew. His rates increased. That $2,000 investment in quality saved him approximately $8,000 in replacements and generated over $30,000 in additional revenue from improved reputation. Quality patience framework. Research thoroughly, save if necessary, buy quality once, never think about it again. Principle number 3, Millionaires audit subscriptions quarterly. Broke people forget they exist. Federal Reserve research shows the average American household has 14 active subscriptions, but when surveyed, they can only name 9 of them. 5 subscriptions charging monthly that you don't even remember. That's the average. Broke people see subscriptions as small amounts. $14.99 for streaming, $9.99 for storage, $12.99 for software. Each one feels manageable. Millionaires see subscriptions as permanent wealth extraction. That $14.99 streaming service? Over 10 years, that's $1,798 plus the compound interest you lost by not investing it. At 10% annual return, that subscription costs you $2,886 of future wealth. Jessica, 28, marketing coordinator, $54,000 salary. She came to a financial advisor saying she couldn't understand where her money was going. She made decent money, but savings stayed at zero. They pulled 6 months of bank statements and highlighted every recurring charge. Here's what they found. Streaming services, 4 subscriptions, $46 monthly. She actively used one. Gym membership, $39 monthly. Hadn't been in 11 months. Meal kit delivery, $68 weekly. She candled, but the confirmation email went to spam, still charging. Cloud storage, $15 monthly. From a phone she replaced 2 years ago. Software subscriptions, 3 different apps, total $53 monthly, installed for projects that ended. Newsletter subscriptions, 2 premium newsletters, $38 monthly. She stopped reading after the first month. Total bleeding, $412 monthly, $4,944 annually. For services she'd either forgotten about or stopped using. That's 9% of her gross income disappearing into subscriptions. Over a 10-year period, invested at 10% return, that represents $95,000 of wealth. She wasn't lazy, she wasn't financially illiterate, she just fell into the subscription trap that catches 93% of Americans. Millionaires implement a quarterly subscription audit. Every 3 months, they review every recurring charge and ask one question. Did I actively use this in the last 90 days? Not might I use this, not I should use this, did you actually use it? If no, cancel immediately. No guilt. No, but I might need it later. Cancel. This isn't about being cheap, it's about respecting your wealth enough to prevent unconscious extraction. Set a calendar reminder right now for the first day of next quarter. Block 30 minutes. Review every recurring charge. Cancel what you're not actively using. That one habit protects more wealth than most investment strategies. Principle number 4. Millionaires pay themselves first. Broke people pay everyone else first. Here's the pattern behavioral economists discovered. When people receive their paycheck, 94% immediately pay bills, buy necessities, handle obligations. Whatever's left over, that's what they save. But here's the problem. There's never anything left over. Because spending expands to fill available resources. This is called Parkinson's law applied to money. Whatever amount you have available feels like the right amount to spend. Millionaires reverse this. Paycheck hits, first transaction is moving money to investment accounts. 20%, 30%, some move 50%. They don't check if they can afford it. They don't wait to see what's left. They pay themselves first, then figure out how to live on what remains. This forces a constraint that broke people never experience. When you know you only have 70% of your income available to spend, you figure out how to make it work. When you know you have 100% available and you'll save whatever's left, you unconsciously spend all 100%. University of Chicago economists studied 2 groups with identical incomes. Group A saved whatever's left at month end. Group B automatically moved 20% to savings on payday. After 5 years, Group A averaged 4.2% savings rate. Group B averaged 19.7%. Same income, dramatically different outcomes. The difference wasn't willpower, it was system design. Group A had to make an active decision to save every month. Decision fatigue kicked in, justifications arose. This month was expensive, I'll save more next month. Group B never made a decision. The system moved money automatically. Their spending adapted to what remained. The human brain is terrible at delayed gratification but excellent at adapting to constraints. Cash flow discipline leverages this by creating artificial constraints that force adaptation. David, 34, sales rep, $86,000 annually. For years, David saved when he could. Some months, $500. Some months, $0. Average, $4,000 annually. Then he implemented cash flow discipline. Set up automatic transfer. 25% of every paycheck moved to investment account immediately. First month was brutal. He planned his spending, assuming full paycheck availability, had to make adjustments, skip some restaurant meals, delayed a purchase. Second month, slightly easier. He'd started planning around the reduced amount. By month 4, he didn't even notice. His brain had recalibrated. The 75% available felt like his full income. After 1 year, David had saved $21,500, 5 times his previous best year. Same income, different system. After 5 years, David had over $130,000 invested, not including gains. His previous pattern would have netted him maybe $20,000. Cash flow discipline isn't about restriction. It's about removing the decision and letting your brain adapt to reality. Principle number 5. Millionaires calculate purchases in life hours. Broke people calculate in dollars. Here's the psychological shift that changes everything. When you see a $200 jacket, your brain computes, can I afford $200? Millionaires compute differently. If they make $50 per hour after tax, that jacket costs 4 hours of their life. Is the jacket worth 4 hours of life energy? This is called life energy economics, developed by Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin. It reframes every purchase from abstract currency to concrete lifetime. A $5 coffee? That's 6 minutes of your life. A $40,000 car? That's 1,333 hours, 66 40-hour work weeks of your life. Suddenly, purchases feel completely different because you're not spending money, you're spending time you'll never get back. Michelle, 39, attorney, makes $120,000 annually. After tax and expenses, her real hourly value, about $42, she'd been eyeing a designer handbag, $1,800. She could technically afford it. Then she calculated 1,800 divided by 40. 2 equals 42.8 hours. That's more than a full work week. Is this bag worth an entire week of her life? Put that way, the answer was obvious. No. But here's what's fascinating. Michelle didn't feel deprived. She felt liberated because she'd seen through the marketing illusion. That bag wasn't $1,800. It was 43 hours of her finite life. And when framed that way, the true cost was clearly higher than the value. She started applying this to everything. Restaurant meal for $80, 2 hours of life. New phone for $1,000, 24 hours of life. Some things were absolutely worth it. Most things weren't. Her spending dropped 34% in the first year. Not from budgeting, not from restriction, from seeing clearly for the first time what money actually represents. Calculate your true hourly value. Take your annual after-tax income, divide by 2,080 hours per year. That's your baseline. But don't stop there. Factor in commute time, time spent thinking about work, time spent recovering from work. Your true hourly value is probably lower than you think. Now calculate every major purchase in hours of your life. Car payment of $500 monthly? How many life hours per month is that worth to you? Apartment that costs $3,000 versus one that costs $2,000? Is the nicer place worth an extra 24 hours of your life monthly? This isn't about never spending. It's about conscious spending. Seeing the true exchange rate between your finite time and infinite stuff. Value recalibration. Every dollar is life energy. Spend it like you'll never get that time back, because you won't. Principle number 6. Millionaires implement mandatory waiting periods. Broke people buy immediately. Stanford psychologist B.J. Fogg discovered that all human behavior requires 3 elements: motivation, ability, and trigger. Remove any one element and the behavior doesn't happen. Impulse purchases have all 3. You want it, you can afford it, you're seeing it right now. Remove the trigger by delaying, and 86% of impulse purchases never happen. This is called the 30-day rule. Any non-essential purchase over $100 goes on a list with today's date. You cannot buy it for 30 days. If you still want it in 30 days, buy it guilt-free. but research shows that 74% of the time you won't. Consumer psychologists at Northwestern studied impulse buying patterns. They gave one group unlimited purchase access. Second group had to wait 72 hours before any purchase over $50. Group 1, average monthly spending $8,600. Group 2, average monthly spending $4,200. 51% spending reduction just from inserting a waiting period. Same income, same wants, different trigger availability. But here's what's more interesting. When surveyed 30 days later, Group 1 couldn't remember what they bought. The purchases had become invisible. Group 2 remembered every purchase and rated satisfaction higher because each purchase felt more intentional. The stuff Group 1 bought didn't create happiness. It created clutter and debt. The stuff Group 2 bought was carefully considered and genuinely valued. Kenneth, 26, software developer, $94,000 salary. Kenneth had a serious Amazon problem. Order notifications weekly, sometimes daily, packages arriving constantly, most of it, stuff he'd forgotten he ordered by the time it arrived. Annual spending on Amazon, $11,400 for a single person with no dependents. He implemented delayed purchase protocol, created a note in his phone, 30-day waiting list. Every time he wanted to buy something non-essential, it went on the list with the date. 30 days later, he reviewed the list. Items he still wanted, he'd buy. Items he'd forgotten about or lost interest in, deleted. First month results, 15 items added to list. 30 days later, he bought 2. Over 1 year, Kenneth added 173 items to his waiting list. He ended up purchasing 19. 90% of his impulse purchases disappeared by adding a delay. Annual Amazon spending dropped from $11,400 to $1,800. $9,600 of spending eliminated without feeling deprived. Why? Because he never actually wanted most of that stuff. He wanted the feeling of buying, the dopamine hit, the instant gratification. 30 days separated the want from the trigger, and the want evaporated. Create your 30-day list today. Any purchase over $100 that's non-essential, it goes on the list. Don't debate whether you need it, don't justify it, just add it with today's date. Set a monthly reminder to review your list. Items older than 30 days, you can buy them if you still want them. But you'll discover something powerful. Most things you were convinced you needed become obviously unnecessary once the emotional trigger passes. Delayed purchase protocol. Separate want from trigger. Let time reveal true value. Principle number 7. Millionaires invest in knowledge. Broke people invest in appearance. Thomas Stanley's research revealed that millionaires spend on average 5.4 times more on self-education than non-millionaires, but they spend 73% less on status items. The broke person buys the luxury car to look successful. The millionaire buys the course that teaches a high-income skill. 5 years later, the broke person has a depreciating car and the same income. The millionaire has skills that doubled their earning power. Warren Buffett said he spent more on books and education than everything else in his life combined, not because he had to, because knowledge is the only investment that compounds infinitely and can never be taken from you. Calculate your current education investment. How much did you spend last year on books, courses, conferences, coaching, skill development? Now compare that to what you spent on entertainment, dining out, and status purchases. For most people, the ratio is shocking. $10 on education for every $1,000 on consumption. Millionaires invert this. They prioritize knowledge investment above almost everything else. Not because knowledge feels good, because knowledge creates earning power, and earning power creates wealth that lasts. Every skill you learn, every insight you gain, every mental model you acquire stays with you forever and compounds infinitely. That $400 course that teaches you negotiation, it might help you negotiate a $10,000 raise. That's a 25x return in year 1. That $3,000 coaching program that helps you start a side business, it might generate $30,000 annually. 10x return every year. Knowledge investment isn't an expense. It's the highest ROI investment available. Make it your first spending priority after basic necessities. Knowledge compounds, everything else depreciates. 7 principles that protect wealth while everyone else bleeds money unconsciously. 1. Replacement philosophy. Replace, never accumulate. Every item has carrying costs. 2. Quality patience framework. Buy quality once instead of cheap repeatedly. 3. Subscription audit system. Quarterly reviews prevent unconscious extraction. 4. Cash flow discipline. Pay yourself first. Force adaptation to constraints. 5. Value recalibration. Calculate purchases in life hours, not dollars. 6. Delayed purchase protocol. 30-day wait eliminates 86% of impulse purchases. 7. Knowledge investment priority. Skills compound infinitely. stuff depreciates immediately. These aren't secrets, they're boring behaviors that don't photograph well on Instagram. But Dr. Stanley's 30 years of research prove they're the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. Subscribe to The Wealth Mind if you want more behavioral finance that explains what millionaires actually do versus what society celebrates.